the person on the right. Thank you, Lori. And Jay is the founder of subjectline.com. And he's going to tell you about that. He's going to tell you about some events that are going to come up, and he's going to give you some really great tidbits that you're going to love. And as I said, we've already taken advantage of a few of these, and I can guarantee they work. So ISBM was founded in 1982. We're a collective of academics and businesses together trying to improve the knowledge of B2B marketing. So we support research, and we then disseminate that research amongst our market members. We have about 30 member firms. We have 29 academic distinguished research fellows and 18 instructors and partners. We have a huge series of educational programming that you can find on our website that I hope you'll take a look at. But if we can help you, just reach out to me or Rand Mendez, my partner. We'll be happy to see how we can help your company get better at B2B marketing. During this event, you won't be able to talk, but you will be able to ask questions to us by going through the chat window. So if you'll just open that up and type in your question at any time that you think of it. Jay's going to keep talking through his presentation from end to end, but Lynn's going to be watching those questions coming in, and she'll make sure that we field them at the end and we follow them all up. So no worries, just put them in the chat window and we'll keep going. We'll go through them before the end of this. And I see something's already in chat. Yes, Lori says this will be recorded. Absolutely. Next slide, you'll see that. Oh, maybe not, but in one of those slides will be coming. So these are some pictures of the rest of us. That's me again with a slightly older picture that makes me look much younger. Rand Mendez is my partner. He's in the middle. Becky Williams helps us with curriculum. Stefan is our academic director. So he's on the Penn State side, helping us support all the research. Lori Nicolini does everything. Ralph Oliva is my past predecessor who worked on the membership side, and Gary Lillian is the past predecessor to Stefan. As I mentioned, we have a lot of distinguished research fellows. We got a smattering of images down there and the universities. So we basically build our curriculum and our consulting support from the best people who do B2B research around the planet. So we're a consortium of really great universities and researchers that have their own organizations. And we have been doing this again since 1982. We were the inventors of things like value propositions, voice of the customer, and StageGate through these fellows. And this is a picture of just our member firms today. If you are not a member, we'd love to hear from you. If you look like any of these folks, we'd love to be able to help you. And of course, if you are a member, we're happy to answer any questions. And if you are just as understand membership, the company is a member, and everybody who is employed by that member firm is a member with us. So every one of you can reach out if you need help and just reach out to us. What's coming up? So this is our calendar of things happening this year so far. We have a marketing excellence meeting. It's a roundtable for members only. We're going to be talking about organizational design for commercial excellence. We're going to be giving you a little survey that helps you understand your particular company culture and how that might affect your commercial excellence methodologies. I think you'll really enjoy that. So signups for that are open, and you'll get an email reminder that you'll hopefully open and connect with us. May through August, we have several educational programs, including our Mastery Track series that allows you, if you're a technical person, to go from zero marketing education all the way through what you need to be a reasonably good B2B marketer from end to end. In May, we have a course that is unlocking the pipeline for unlocking your pipeline gridlock. So this is product development and how marketing plays a role in that. Bob Cooper, the inventor of StageGate, teaches that course. He's fabulous. You might want that one. We have a Voice of the Customer course again in June. That's taught by a world-renowned expert as well, Jerry Katz. And then June and July, we have competitive analysis. August is developing value propositions. And this fall, we hope to have an in-person event. We've said that probably every 6 months for the last 2 years, but we're really believing it this time. So let's all hope there. And so again, if you want to follow up, this slide will come up later again, but there's Jay's email address. Feel free to reach out, or Rand or my address, or Lori. If you're having any difficulties with the system, please feel free to type into the chat or the Q&A, and we'll be monitoring both of those things. Just send us a note during this presentation. So I'm going to turn this over to Jay. And I'm going to stop sharing, Jay, and you can do what you need to do there.
All right. Thank you. Let's see if we could share away. Sharing is always fun. Let's make this happen. Awesome. All right, we are off and running. So excited to be here. I really appreciate you guys taking a little bit of time out of your day. Lunch hour for some of you. So that's a good and bad thing. Hopefully I don't put you to sleep. We're going to try not to. So we're talking about email today. And what I can tell you you're going to get out of this, you're going to get anxiety because I talk really fast, unfortunately. But hopefully you get some tips and tactics that you can leave here and literally go to your email campaign that you're setting up, change a few things, and get a boost in overall performance. This is not one of these, pie in the sky where you need some expensive platform or anything like that. These are things, tips and tactics based on data that's right now that can really improve your open rates, your click-through rates, your back-end performance. So I'm going to share lots of stats, lots of information. I wanted to share where it all comes from. So I have a company called World Data. We're about a 100-person organization based down in South Florida, been around for over 40 years. We are a demand generation agency. We work with both business marketers and consumer marketers, some of the biggest brands on the planet, and we help them to execute direct response campaigns, email, direct mail, some other channels to help them drive new customers and whatnot. And we do happen to do a lot of email. I don't own any data. I don't own a particular platform. We work with lots of data partners. We work with about 8 different ESPs. And to give you an idea of the volume that we send out on behalf of our clients, in calendar year 2021, we transmitted 6 billion email messages, about 60% of those being B2B and the rest being consumer across 40,000 email campaigns. We take all that data, we aggregate it, and that's where our stats come from. So this is from real information from real campaigns. And then we also have a division called subjectline.com, which is a free website that you can go to and you could check your subject line to see if it's good or bad. It gives you a score before you actually send out an email. So subjectline.com is a division of my company. Cool thing to check out anyway. Okay, so let's get on to why we're here. Why'd you give up your lunch hour to find out some email tips? Across the board, the most important thing that you should get out of this session is that, in general, email experts are the worst people on the planet. I don't call myself an email expert, but I say they're the worst people on the planet because why? Email experts are inherently sort of lazy and they peddle information that is actually old. What do I mean by that? If you're on this webinar today, then you care about email marketing in some capacity, or else you wouldn't have signed up. And when you send out an email and you're trying to come up with, let's say, your subject line, and you're putting words in your subject line, and you're debating, should I put the word free in my subject line? Can I use an exclamation point in my subject line? Can I capitalize something in my subject line? And invariably, you're going to say in your head, wait a minute, no, I can't do those things because I'm going to get filtered. I'm going to go into the junk folder, the spam folder, because of the words that I'm writing in my subject line or in my body copy. And then to validate your thought process, you'll go online and say, oh, what are words to avoid or things to avoid when I'm setting up my email campaign? And you'll come across articles like this, right? This from a few weeks ago. And there's literally thousands of these articles where they'll tell you these are words that you have to avoid, and you have to avoid these symbols in your subject line because you're going to go to the junk folder or the spam folder. I'm here to tell you that that is not true. That is old news, right? So let me explain why that's old news. First of all, this is a screen grab from Litmus. Litmus is a company that has some of the leading email tools and software for the industry. They're one of the most widely used platforms for email marketers, okay? Very well-respected group. On their blog, this was their big article they put out not too long ago. The headline said, but first, let's bust the #1 subject line myth. And they wrote, the truth is, spam trigger words are a thing of the past. It's an old wives' tale that certain practices will get you immediately marked as spam. Spam filters can be triggered for a variety of reasons, but specific words alone are rarely the culprit. So why am I telling you all this, and why am I spending time on this, okay? If you rewind 15 years ago, when email was really starting to get going, there were networks like Earthlink and AOL and MSN and Lotus Notes and early versions of Microsoft Outlook. And when email was coming into these networks, right, the receiving networks like, whoa, there's a lot of garbage here. We need to filter out the bad email. And back then, 15 years ago, there was no advanced technology to be able to filter things out, right? So what did these companies do? They looked for words. They looked for free. They looked for download. They looked for symbols like exclamation points or quotes or capitalization or whatever. And whenever they saw that, they stuck you in the junk folder. And that's where the myth was born, right? It was born because it was true. For about 5 or 6 years, it was absolutely a fact that if you use certain content or certain symbols, you would go to the junk or spam folder. But technology changed. You now go to the junk folder or the spam folder because of the sending reputation, the technical reputation of the IP address. That's how you deliver your email. That's if you're sending out on, MailChimp or HubSpot or Pardot or Salesforce or Adobe or whatever, and you press send in your platform, it's going out via these IP addresses and a particular domain. The reputation, the technical reputation of those two things is what's dictating whether or not you're going into the inbox or the junk folder. It is not, it is no longer because of the content. Why does this matter? Why does this matter? Because believing these myths is holding back your performance, right? So I want to liberate you. And when somebody tells you, oh, you can't use that word, or you can't use an exclamation point, you can't put a number in your subject line, you can't use an emoji for sure, because you're going to go to the junk folder, you say, no, that's old news. And even though email marketing experts today will do webinars, they will write articles today and say that you can't do it, they're just regurgitating information from the past, which is why they drive me nuts. So to further validate all of that, we're talking about, let's look at the data. The irony, the absolute irony is that by doing the very tactics that most email experts tell you can't do, if you actually do the things you can't do, you see a better performance by doing them. So if you capitalize a word, let's say you're promoting a webinar, let's say you're promoting something that can be downloaded, let's say you're promoting a report, whatever you're promoting, and you capitalize that word, right, in the subject line, it will lift your open rates for business marketers 18% and consumer marketers 14%. Exclamation point increases open rates, as you see here, B2B, business to business versus business to consumer, 11 to 12%. Using an emoji, and we're going to get into this because some of you guys, you business marketers, you think emojis aren't for you. It couldn't be further from the truth. Emojis in the subject line, game changer. We're going to dig into that in a minute. Numbers in your subject line lifts open rates 19 to 21%, and the greatest word that's ever been created for marketers, free. Right? Free lifts open rates 31 to 37%. And I will tell you that you'll say, I've always heard I can't use free. Always can't use free. I'm telling you, go to your inbox. Okay. You go to your inbox and you look at emails from every major marketer. And I want you to look at their subject lines. And I want you to say, oh my God, they're using free. They're capitalizing. They're using brackets. They're using parentheses. They're using asterisks. They're doing all this stuff. Why can't I do that? And by the way, it's in your inbox, not your junk folder. So I'm liberating you, right? So capitalization does phenomenal. It even does even more phenomenal if you capitalize in the first, if the capitalization has to be 50% or less of your subject line. That's a little extra trick there that helps to boost performance, right? So when Facebook promotes to their B2B side of their business, right? And they're capitalizing and they're using brackets. Why are they doing this? They're doing it because they know it works. They know a little bit about data. They know it's going to increase the open rates. In the world of email marketing, you might be sitting there saying, this is ridiculous. What am I wasting my time on here? There is no silver bullet. There's no one thing that you're going to do and be like, all right, our email campaigns are good. We don't have to think about email anymore. It's a series of little things. And it's what can I do to get my email to stand out and not the other email that showed up at the exact same time as my email? How do I get it open? What trick can I do? So why do I spend some time here on subject lines? Because who actually cares what's in the body of your email, right? Who actually cares what's in the body of your email, what your offer is, if we can't get that email open? We got to get the email open, right? That's the secret sauce, right? So when Zoom puts 3 tips, they put it in brackets to make it stand out, right? They're using symbols, they're using numbers. It is a no-brainer. And it's not just using numbers. When you have a subject line and it starts with a number, okay, it actually starts with a number, it will increase your open rate 18 to 24%. These are little things that have a huge impact. Now, 6 months from now, email marketing is always changing. Tactics are always going in circles or evolving or disappearing. This may not be the case come, the end of the year, but right now this is working really well, right? So these are easy tests. These are easy tests to check out. So here's another example. And here's another example of another major organization, right? So some of you may use Marketo, which is owned by Adobe, right? So Adobe bought Marketo for $5 billion. They're one of the largest platforms for B2B marketers to send out their email. Who cares, right? Well, here's the story. They put this out. They put this PDF out about subject line tips. And what do they write? Don't be afraid of free. For years, it has been a truism that using free in your email subject line is a one-way ticket to the spam folder. However, spam catching algorithms have gotten smarter over the years, blah, 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 blah. Free is fine, right? Free is fine, both capitalized and not. So there you go. So we got to remove the myth that is content-driven filtering is something you have to worry about. By the way, here's another thing to plant in your mind somewhere that could be useful. If you look across every industry, including every major marketer, the average inboxing rate, that is the percentage of the email that you send out that goes to the inbox versus the junk folder. I'm talking about for everybody, is around 78%. Why do I tell you that? Because every time you send out a campaign, I don't care what you do, I don't care how good you are at what you do, there's going to be a portion of your email that goes to the junk folder or the spam folder. I'm telling you that to manage your own expectations and manage expectations internally. Because what happens is you press send, and then some person in some department, some marketing person, whatever, goes, hey, you just sent out your email, went to my junk folder. You guys are doing it all wrong. Disasterville. Go have 7 meetings and lose your mind, right? That's annoying. And you have to manage expectations that, you know what? Obviously, you don't want the vast majority to go in the junk folder. That'd be really bad. But every sender gets a portion of their email into the junk folder on every send. That's the way it goes. Anyway, so let's talk about emojis for a second. Because as business marketers, which is a lion's share of you guys, we're like, oh yeah, no, emojis, that's for my teenage kids to send me a picture and make fun of me about something. No. Let's rename emojis for a second and let's call them business icons. If they were called business icons and you were able to put an icon in your subject line to get it open, wouldn't that be awesome? That is an emoji. And really, what are we saying here? It's getting your subconscious, when the person's looking in their inbox on their phone or at their desktop, and they're giving it a millisecond of time, it catches their eye, and that millisecond of time, they'll then read the subject line. So it's not about whether that fire symbol for this dental office is stupid or not, right? It's about, does it stand out? Easy on the consumer side, of course it stands out, right? Not only do emojis work, but bookend emojis do really well, right? You're carving out, you're saying, hey, let's put an emoji on either side of my subject line. It does not impact deliverability, right? It stands out, increases open rates by 31%, okay? So you see it across the board, business and consumer, right? If you're targeting contractors, whatever it may be, when you go back to your inbox, you're going to see more and more emojis. So why is emoji use exploded? We have B2B versus B2C. You put on the B2B side, for example, if you put the clock or you put the hourglass, these are the top 2 emojis right now to put in the subject line. Why is it exploded in use? It's exploded in use because over the last 2 years, email receiving systems, especially on the B2B side, that was holding things back. But now 92% of all email receiving systems, email clients, can view emojis properly, right? Which means that as marketers, we now have the ability to include these across the board with everybody that we're marketing to. And that's why more and more you see them in your inbox, but you're going back and saying, wait a minute, I don't see it that much. Actually, we're now at a point now where 5% of all emails that are sent, 5% actually have emojis in the subject line. So then some people will say, well, if everybody's using them, I don't want to do it because I won't stand out. No, 95% of marketers still are not, right? So when I get an email from Oracle, right, and the subject line has a baseball in it, hit a home run with business intelligence, do I look at this email and say, wait a minute, I was debating between Oracle and Salesforce with who I was going to use for my CRM. But now that Oracle send out an email with a baseball in the subject line, I'm not going to work with them because that's ridiculous. No, what's happening here is it's going to stand out. I'm going to see this email for the first time and I'm going to open it, right? So the name of the game is get your emails open. So B2B marketers, you could use it for anything, a cup of coffee, an arm, an announcement, eyeballs, whatever, right? Emojis and subject lines is the easiest test in the world. There's a great website, emojipedia.com, that can give you all the information you need about doing emojis and picking emojis and all this nonsense. Enough about emojis, but to give you an idea, for B2B marketers, especially, it's up 1,700% in use in the last 18 months. That's a pretty big increase. Why is it rising? Because it works. It works. What else works? What are other tactics, tips, and things? These 3 dots, right? These 3 dots are fantastic. When you are texting with somebody, right, and you're going back and forth, and then you see the 3 dots, and you're like, oh my God, what are they going to say? Oh my God, and then it disappears. Like, oh no, they're not saying anything. And then it comes back. Oh, what are they going to say? It's this anticipation. It's this, I need to know, right? I need to know. Well, these 3 dots in email are a no-brainer. You want to talk about the easiest way to get more people to open up your email. The simplest way is by using the 3 dots, right? If you're promoting an event, you're trying to create suspense. What can you do to get that person to say, yeah, I'm going to open it? Imagine you get an email, right? And for your particular industry, the keynote speaker is ... You're like, I want to know. Or let's say it said, have you seen? What didn't I see? For HR pros only, the 2022 industry trends. The winner is, you're going to open this up, right? So any offer, there's not an offer on planet Earth that you can't use this version of suspense to drive that open. And it may seem gimmicky. You may be like, I'm not doing that. That's ridiculous. And that's why you're not getting the number of people to open up your email that you'd like to. That's the reality of it, right? That's the reality of it. Now, I know we're talking mostly B2B, but let's look at Amazon for a second. I like Amazon. We all like Amazon, right? We all buy stuff. Amazon's a pretty sophisticated marketer. Amazon, for a lot of their promotional email, not order confirmations or any of that nonsense, they have started to move towards the 3 dots at the end of the subject line. Now, it has nothing to do with there being more words in that subject line. These are the full subject lines. They're including that ... because whether it's conscious or subconscious, they know, right, that it's leading us to open the email, right? So when you see major marketers, it doesn't matter, they're mostly a consumer marketer. You see them heading in this direction, you know that it's the right move. When you see Litmus, who I talked about earlier, sending out their email to all the email marketers on the planet, this is an email marketing platform supplier sending out to email marketers. And what are they doing? ... No brainer, easy test, why not? SHRM, I have a big question for you. I mean, come on, if you are a human resource professional, you are a member of SHRM, and they send out an email that says, I have a big question for you, ... The odds of you not opening that up is 0. This tactic on the B2B side increases open rates by 31%. You literally did nothing but rewrite your subject line, add 3 dots, and you will see a huge lift in performance. Now, everything I talk about are test ideas. Nothing's absolute. Let's say I say 10 different test ideas and 3 of them work. Some of you might say, well, that guy Jay stinks. 7 out of 10 of his ideas were terrible. But that's not true. If you get 3 ideas that actually boost your performance, you put them in your arsenal, and now you have them. You could rotate through, you could do different things. Anything that you can do and test and you can get a win is huge. And you're going to test things and fail, right? You're going to fail your way to success. That is the nature of marketing in general. So these are easy tests, no-brainer tests. Why not? Okay, let's talk about some other things. We are putting people to sleep. Collectively, email newsletters are so boring, right? What happens is, it's almost like podcasts now. You sign up for an email newsletter, and then you read the first few newsletters you get. This week's, next week's, the week after. And then like by the 4th or 5th one, you're like, who cares? I don't look at this anymore. It's wallpaper. You totally forget it's there. And then like once every 6 months, you click on it and you keep saying to yourself, why don't I just unsubscribe? And you just forget that it's there. That is the very essence of email newsletters. Now, as a marketer, what are we doing? Oh my God, we got to get the newsletter out. We need content for the newsletter. Get the newsletter out. We can't miss the day. It has to go out on this day or else the world comes to an end, right? That's what happens. So I'm not going to tell you anything right now that's going to radically make your newsletters really super exciting. But I want to give you a couple of tips here to try to get them opened a little more often, right? So I sign up for the Owler newsletter. It's a B2B newsletter. And this is what I get. This is their subject line. Your Wednesday morning update, your Tuesday morning update, your Monday morning update. I mean, if this is not wallpaper, I don't know what is, right? It's just wallpaper. I never open it up because I'm like, who cares? I just say, who cares? Boring, super boring, right? Now, here's the game. Here's what we should be doing. Here's what we should be thinking about. When we send out an email newsletter, there's two kinds of subject lines. You could have a unique subject line or a consistent subject line. A consistent subject line is the boring version I just showed you. Your Monday morning update or your weekly news from SHRM or whatever. And it's the same thing over and over again. Maybe you just change the date. That's boring. That's called consistent. Unique subject lines would be including a stat from the newsletter, or today we're talking about the crisis in the Ukraine or whatever. So it's a unique subject line depending on the topic of the newsletter. Now, unique subject lines win, right? Unique versus consistent. Your unique subject lines will get an open rate lift of 22%. But there's an interesting new twist to it. Unique plus consistent get an open rate boost of 28%. What does that actually mean? So if you look at these newsletters I get one from Martech, which is a marketing newsletter. I get another one from Search Engine Land, and a lot of other marketers now do this. They take emoji, let's call it a business icon for fun, and at the start of their subject line, they always put the same emoji, an hourglass, the square thingamabob, and then following that, they have their unique content. So the spyglass or the magnifying glass is the consistent piece. So when you get it, you're like, oh, I know this. This is going to be their newsletter in your mind. And then you see the line about what it's going to be about. So you have the consistent plus the unique. It's a beautiful thing. You get your emails open more, your newsletters open more, and it is fantabulous, right? So again, little things make a huge, huge difference. We got to get those emails open. So let's get off the subject line now. Let's talk about another topic that's probably pretty confusing, but we're gonna do a great job here, and we're gonna go through this. And I promise you, this may change your email marketing performance more than anything that we've talked about so far today. So, and White Lotus was a great show. Okay, let's talk about your from address. Now, some of you are gonna tune me out, and you're gonna say, I know about this already, Jay is boring, and that's fine, but I don't agree. Because I'm going to take you through the first part, which you may know about, but the second part, I highly doubt that you do. And the second part is what's going to boost those open rates. So let's talk about your from address for a minute. Here's the easy part. You send out an email, it comes from an email address. Okay, great, we established that. When I email you, my email address that I email you from is this really long, horrible email address, the letter J, my last name, jschwedelson@corpwd.com. That is my actual email address. When it shows up in your inbox, though, I have set the friendly from, otherwise known as the alias, on my email address to be Jay Schwedelson. So when I send out the email, it just shows up as my name. It looks very nice. And that's how 99% of emails are set up, right? Where you send it out and it shows up as the alias that you've set up or the friendly from that you've set up. So when it goes to the person's inbox, it doesn't just show up as the true email address. We've established that. So who cares? Why are we talking about this? This net stat is a big deal, and it's one of the most poorly worded stats on the planet. But I'm going to show you examples. When the friendly from addresses that match topic of subject line offer have an increased open rate of 34 to 37%. What does that mean? What does that mean? I'll show you. When Salesforce sends out their email, okay? When they send out their email, and they send out to their whole database. When they send out their email, that friendly from could just say Salesforce, right? The alias could just say Salesforce, but no, they happen to be promoting an event. So they change that friendly from, depending on the offer or what it is that they're sending out, to tie into that offer. So Salesforce in this email will send out, it says Salesforce events. Why? Because immediately it's going to resonate with the person like, oh, this isn't just some generic sales email. This is about their events. I'm interested in their events. I'm going to keep reading. When you tie the friendly from to the topic of the subject line, which is essentially your offer. That is how you get that plus 30% open rate, right? So when Microsoft is talking about their Azure product, right, they don't just write Microsoft. They're saying Microsoft Azure, right? When the American Academy of Dermatology sends out their thing, they're not just talking about the American Academy of Dermatology, they're talking about their COVID update. Because the more specific that you can be, when you can have a specific friendly from addresses, accomplish two super important things. It establishes relevance immediately, which is why your open rates go up so much. But the second thing it does, it allows for a dramatic increase in the number of emails that you can send out. So when Salesforce sends out their emails, and they don't do it on every email, they do it on a lot, right? And I'm only in their database once, right? Their friendly from will be Salesforce Marketing, Salesforce Datorama, Salesforce Pardot, Salesforce Events, Salesforce Sales. This allows the receiving person to know, hey, this is what it's about. But the other game is I'm not getting annoyed necessarily that I'm getting more and more emails from Salesforce over and over again. It's a license to send out more. And by the way, you want to sign up for the craziest emails in the world, sign up for Wayfair's emails. They are over the top bananas and they do really, really well. I mean, Walmart, they know a little bit about marketing. Walmart Fashion, Walmart Home, Walmart Deals. They are doing this. A lot of major marketers doing this. Associations do this all day long, right? They're constantly changing the friendly from, sending it to the same database of people. Let's talk about Apple for a second, right? Here's Apple. On one specific day, I got 4 emails from Apple. I have 1 email address with Apple. I got an email from the App Store, the Apple TV, Apple Card, Apple News. Now, when I get that 4th email from the App Store, I'm like, wait a minute, I got 3 other emails from Apple today. I'm very angry. This is not right. No, I view them as different topics, different things, and it gives Apple or any marketer the license to send out more email. So now you could win that internal debate about, well, we can't send out because this division's sending out and I want to send out and this wants to send out. Use that friendly from to almost replicate yourself as a company and as a sender, and you win. Open rates go up, performance goes up. When you send out 3 emails per week from 3 friendly from addresses, 3 different friendly from addresses versus 3 emails per week from 1 friendly from address, when you send out from 3, your open rate increases 41%. 41%. That is awesome, right? So when we talk about different tips, tactics, things, this is one of the easiest things. And by the way, there is not a platform on earth that you can't change the friendly from address easily. And I would say it might take you 30 seconds to do that. It costs you nothing, 0, right? So if you think about what we've gone over today, and I have a few more things to share with you. Everything we talked about today costs you nothing to do. It does not require you to get some IT person to help you out. And you can implement it immediately. That's awesome. That's the win of the day. So a few things, and then we'll do some questions if there are any. First of all, ugly slides. I always have historically ugly slides. I'm okay with that. But here's a few things that you might be interested in, maybe not. My organization puts out a calendar, an email marketing calendar. It's the best and worst days to send out email. Red dots are days you don't want to send. Green dots are days that are good. And it's based on all this crazy data that we have, historical data, crazy stuff, holidays, whatever. B2B calendar, and we have a B2C calendar. It's totally free. If you want a copy of this digital version of the calendar, you can email me at jays@corpwd.com, and I will send you that calendar. Also, I have a newsletter. I don't promote things in my newsletter, and I send it out about every 2 weeks or so with stats and trends that I'm seeing. It's called Scoop. If you want the newsletter, when you email me, say, add me to your newsletter, add me to Scoop, and I will do that. A couple of things. On Instagram and Twitter, we're World Data with 1D. We put out some information there, so with 1D. I love connecting on LinkedIn. I'm asking you, please connect me on LinkedIn. I put out a lot of information on LinkedIn. Don't be shy. Hit me up with a request. I want to connect on LinkedIn. Subjectline.com. That is our free division, our free site that you can go to, and you can check your subject line. It gives you a score immediately, how good or bad it is. It gives you some tips, some things to think about. We've just checked our 13 millionth subject lines. That's a lot of subject lines we've checked. This is brand new. we are announcing this next week. So you guys are on the inside here. Most people, no one's really heard about this yet. You can go to a website called guruconference.com. We are putting on an absolute free conference. It's a 2-day free conference all about email marketing. It's November 2nd and 3rd. It is going to be the world's largest virtual email conference. The reason we know this is the people that have heard about early registration, we've gotten thousands within 24 hours. And we're only limiting it to the first 10,000 people, which sounds like a lot, but I believe we're going to sell pretty quickly. Again, it's free. If you go to Guru Conference today, even though we haven't announced it's open yet, you can register and be a part of the thing. It's going to be a lot of fun. So check out guruconference.com. It's going to be an email marketing conference in November. And that's it. We did it. That's my email address. Let's connect. Let's talk. Let's become friends. And I can stop sharing. So that way we could see if there's any questions.
That was awesome. And
good.
you're correct. You talk really fast, but I can write fast too. I took a million notes. I'll remind everybody that this was recorded, so you can play it back at a different speed if that helps you. But oh my gosh, there were great things in there and new things I didn't know about that I'm going to go do now. Like I had no idea about changing my friendly address. Oh my gosh.
There we go.
I know. So here's a question for you, Jay. So you have been doing this for a while. You have seen historically things change over time. How often do we need to rethink what we do in email? Like, okay, you got us to here. We're going to do this now. We're going to do this now for the next 10 years and never change. Because that's who we are. Right. How often do we have to check?
You know, that's a great question. And certain things you have to change more often than others. I'll give you some examples. So let's talk about, let's say you have an offer of some kind. Let's say you're promoting a webinar. If you rewind, let's say 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you could send an email promoting that webinar once, say, here's, we're gonna have a webinar, and then maybe you'd send one more email about that webinar. Do like a 2-time send about a webinar. Well, that was great 2 years ago, but now if you're not doing a 3-time send for a webinar promotion, you're not going to get anywhere near the number of responses that you want. I would imagine if you fast forward another year, it's probably going to go to a 4-time send. So things like that are always evolving. And then there are certain tactics that for one reason or another go in a cycle. A great example of that is personalization. If you put the person's name in the subject line, for example. If you rewind a couple of years ago, you put a person's name in the subject line, it did phenomenal, right? Everybody started to do it, and then it started not to do so well. Then everybody stopped doing it, and in the last 3 months, we're starting to see it pick back up again. So there are these things that everyone starts to do. Another example would be the day of the week. It used to be never send out on a Monday or Friday. So what did we do as marketers? Everybody sent on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. I'm talking about everybody. Now, if you send out on Monday or Friday, it's doing really well because there's no volume there. Right. So every 6 months, it is a constant, unfortunately, a constant change of looking at tactics and tips and breaking out of whatever you said is something we have to do on every campaign. That's probably the first thing I would look at and say, well, that's probably not right.
Yeah. Okay. I like it. So, you know, because when people are doing this together, right, you're not an individual doing it all by yourself. There's a committee. A collection of folks, a team, yes. But there's our opinions, right? Lots and lots of opinions and hardly ever any data. So I love the idea that as soon as you hear somebody say, we always should do this, then we should always not do that. And then wait 6 months and look at it again.
Absolutely. That's right.
Okay, so we have a question because you know a lot of our marketers are about KPIs, right? Yes. So we're always watching all of the stages of the sales process. And so what are your thoughts about open rate as a KPI? So given data privacy changes from Apple and others, is open rate still relevant as a KPI?
Okay, I appreciate this question. And so this may be a long answer, but let me give you the answer because it's a very important topic. So let me give you a 30-second primer to give you the background on this question. Apple, in their latest update to their phone, their iOS 15 update, they included something called mail privacy protection as an option for users of their mail application on their phone and on their iPads and whatnot to opt in. And anybody who, it's not if you have an Apple email address, if you go on that little blue mail icon on your phone, and that's how you see your email, when you downloaded the latest operating system, which most of us have at this point, and it asks you the question, do you want to opt in for more privacy? You invariably probably said yes, because 90% of us do say yes. All right. Anybody who said yes, for that person, whether it's a business person or a consumer person, professional or consumer, our ability to track as a marketer, our ability to track whether that person opened up an email or not anymore is dead. What Apple is doing systematically on purpose, anytime we as a marketer send an email to somebody who has activated that mail privacy protection, they're sending back an automatic open flag for that email. Now, to give you a perspective on how impactful that could be, this is impacting somewhere between 35 to 40% of all email addresses that business marketers send to. Ooh, that's a lot, right? Which means that somewhere in that number, 35 to 40% of all the emails that you send out to, you're getting an automatic open flag back. So of course, it's radically inflating your open rate. Bad. Now, why then should your open rate still be a key metric that we focus on? What's important now as marketers is that we establish our new benchmarks, right? So if you look at 6 months ago, your average open rate was 20% for your newsletter. Now, because of the Apple change, right, your average open rate is now 40%. You didn't just become great at what you do. This is because of Apple's change. But now your new average open rate is 40%. Okay, great. And by the way, it's hit a saturation point. So what it is today, it is factored in all of the changes that are going to occur. So we're at now a good baseline to start looking for a new benchmark. So today, if you're at 40%, okay, cool. Now I'm going to test the subject line. I'm going to put an emoji in one and an A/B split, and now I put an emoji in the other one. And I send out my newsletter. And on this newsletter send, I got a 40% open rate on the one that didn't have an emoji, but I got a 50% open rate on the one that did have an emoji. What do we know? We know directionally the one that had the emoji won. And we know that because of the open rate lift that we see. So open rate has gone from an absolute metric, meaning this many people opened up the email. It's no longer that. It's gone from that to a directional metric, which is I tested this day of the week. It got me a higher open rate, which means that tactic worked. So it's more like a poll or a survey, right, of the people that you are marketing to and what their reaction is than it is an absolute metric. So when people say stop tracking open rate, to me, I don't agree with that because it gives you super valuable directional information on being able to run A/B tests. So that was a long answer, but that's where we landed.
Yeah, so setting it as, say, a goal for the team to achieve, maybe not so good, but using it when you're testing and watching what's happening as things change, perfect, right? Got it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a directional metric that, frankly, you should be checking on everything that you send out. It's just no longer going to be, I know exactly how many people opened it up.
Absolutely, yeah. So here's a question. Do email principles apply to posts on LinkedIn? For example, day of the week or what to use in the top 3 lines of a post in LinkedIn?
Yes and no. I happen to spend an inordinate amount of time with LinkedIn, and we do a lot of marketing on LinkedIn. So I'll tell you right now, the secret sauce in terms of when to post on LinkedIn is, generally speaking, Wednesday and Thursday from about 11 to 12 p.m. Eastern is going to be your optimal time for highest engagement. I know that's super random, but that's actually the optimal time to post something on LinkedIn. And in terms of headlines and whatnot, that is a tough one. I would say utilizing emojis is a home run. We tested that quite a bit. Emoji use within your LinkedIn posts generates a lot more attention than not. So I would definitely recommend doing that.
And so how often does that kind of, just like you said before, during the time period where people said it used to be Mondays and Fridays were now not good and now they are, does the same thing happen to LinkedIn? Does this swap over time? Because now you've just told us we're all going to do Wednesday and Thursday.
Right.
And now it'll be Tuesday or Sunday, right?
That's an interesting question. I don't have the data off the top of my fingers or whatever to give you an accurate view on that. The only thing I'll tell you with LinkedIn, and I don't know why it's not the same for our inbox, but we tend to, I mean, Monday is like a dead day, right? We're all getting to work. Oh my God, I have meetings, you know. So if you were to post 9 a.m. on a Monday, good luck getting anybody any traction, you know, on that post. But as we move towards the end of the week, you know, Wednesday and Thursday, the reason you don't want to post on Friday is you're not going to get enough traction initially. And then the algorithm, basically, you have to get enough traction within the first 30 minutes on LinkedIn, enough likes for the algorithm on LinkedIn to say, ooh, this one's interesting. And what they do is, what a lot of our clients do is after 30 minutes, if they don't get enough traction, a lot of marketers just take down the post. Because what will happen is if you don't, it doesn't get widespread enough. And if it does pick up a little bit, then it's going to do the automated emails and automated notification saying, hey, Jay's post about email marketing is popular, you know, check it out. And so that's really what you're looking for.
So that's really how it's different than email,
Yeah.
is because there's an algorithm laying on top of it that says, hey, I can see that people are looking at this. And,
Yes.
and so that sounds like that's a whole nother world of thought to figure out how to game an algorithm that I'm sure changes underneath you as soon as you figure it out, right?
Yeah, and also it's very different depending on the type of post that you do. So for example, if you do an all text post, no image, right, that actually gets circulated more than any other kind of post. If you do, the next level would be text post with image. The algorithm circulates it a little bit less than pure text. And then a video post gets circulated the least. So if you think about views on a video, if you post on LinkedIn, I would times that by about 3 or 4. And that's basically every time you get a view, it's equal to like 3 or 4 views on an all text post. It's just crazy how everything's different.
Wow. Wow. Great. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to make a call out. Anybody have any more questions? Those were excellent. All right. Everybody's actually working on their next email to make it better. That's awesome. Jay, I can't thank you enough. This was really great. Do you want to repeat again any of those things you told us that we should remember to sign up for from you?
Sure. Yeah. Definitely email me if you want to any of the stuff that I mentioned earlier. Check out Guru Conference. It's going to be a lot of fun, totally free. Subjectline.com. Let's become friends on LinkedIn. And you know, if I could ever be of any use, just let me know.
Awesome. Awesome. This has been really, really great. Thank you so much for sharing
problem.
today with us.
Thank you. Take it easy,
Okay.
everybody.
We're good. Thank you, Lori.